Could it be? Is that Pharmacist Ben?
The one and only.
Pharmacist Ben, how are you today?
I'm good, man. You know, I used to think I was one of the most important people in longevity until I ran into you.
Oh, yeah.
Serious. If longevity had any idea, if the company had any idea about what you do,
Oh, man.
holy moly. I think I'm kidding you. I'm kidding you, man.
You hear that, Ruth Ellen? We want Texas Hill is first.
Who is?
Man, Texas Hill. He's first. All right. Ruth Ellen, that means I gotta get a raise. Bruce, he beat you in. Bruce is second.
What's that? What, somebody first caller?
For you know, that's a thing online. Like when you're the first one to make a comment.
I didn't know that. All right, thank you.
I would definitely be doing first.
All right.
Well, speaking of first, the first thing that we want to talk about today is, I kind of led people into our topic, which is religion's impact on the mitochondria.
Wait, hang on. Did you say religion's impact on mitochondria?
Religion's impact on the mitochondria.
Huh.
A scientific review.
Wait. Is this an article?
No, this is what we're going to be talking about on the show today.
I don't understand how religion got involved. I know about mitochondria.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I'm going to show you an image if I can. Let's see here. Where is the easiest place to grab this image? Okay, here it is. I'm going to just share this image on the screen for you, and then it'll all kind of come together. I guess I'll share the entire screen. Share that, and then just go here. I don't know. Can you see the image that's on the screen?
Make it a little bigger, or can you make it bigger?
Let's see. No, I can't make it any bigger.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Let me see if I can make it bigger here on my end. Oh yeah, I can make it bigger on my end.
Okay.
So
it says the 2026 fasting reset, where ancient wisdom.
Oh, that's good. I like that. So you're talking about fasting.
Talking about fasting.
Yeah.
But the title has got to be.
Yeah, religion's interesting because while there's no direct mitochondrial benefit to religion and spirituality, and that's why I say SMEP, spiritual, mental, and emotional, physical, through reducing stress, adding meaning to life, making you more generous, charitable, social support if you're religious, going to church, etc., a synagogue, whatever, mosque, fasting for sure, meditating. All of these are going to reduce the stress on the mitochondria. Fasting is an incredible way to do it. Let me tell you why. Okay, and I can, if you want to associate with religion with fasting, for sure, religion can definitely help your mitochondria in that way. Why? So what do the mitochondria do? Simply, without getting into too much chemistry, and you are a one smart cookie, AJ. And I say that with all seriousness. I want everybody to know that you are super smart. You learn really fast, and this is not out of your wheelhouse. What do mitochondria do? Simply, not complicated.
Generate energy.
Okay, good. That's you could say it that way. They generate energy, but from what?
From what? From nutrients.
Basically glucose.
Okay.
And to a certain extent, certain kinds of fatty. I don't know if they're technically fats, but we'll call them fatty material. They're derivatives of fats, and that's why fats are the ketogenic diet works, because you don't necessarily need glucose to do this. So between these two molecules, they go into a black box, and out comes energy. But not just any energy. What is energy? That's this weird word. What is energy? Nobody really knows what energy. Technically, it's the capacity to do work, or I think that's what they call it. I think that's the physics definition of it. But nobody really knows what energy is. Can you put energy in your hand? Can I hand you energy? Can you hand me energy? Can you show me energy? No, it's not. It's a weird idea. But in the body, energy is represented by something. What is it represented by?
ATP.
ATP.
Okay, gotcha.
ATP. All right, and this is how cool this is. And I'm going to go into some chemistry if I can find Marty the molecule. Here's Marty the molecule, right? Okay. So when you rip off one of Marty's legs, see how Marty has, this is Marty the molecule. He's got things sticking off of a central piece, and it would imply kind of that this is a solid. This little piece here is solid. The implications, it's not really solid. It's a magnet. It's a magnet. It's magnetic. So the connection between this and this is probably carbon, this is hydrogen. The connection between these two is magnetic. It's not a solid thing, it's magnetic. This is going to be very important, what I'm going to say here, okay? But I want you to get the idea that it's a magnet, that this has a charge and this has a charge. This has a positive charge, this has a negative charge, and they magnetically attract each other, okay? And actually, now that I think about it, they both have positive charges, which is why they repel. But I'm not sure exactly the electronics, but the point is there's an electrical nature to this, magnetic nature. Did you ever take two magnets when you were a kid and push them together?
Of course.
Okay. And what happens when you let go?
Well, yes.
They spring out, right? When magnets are pulled apart, they spring out because they release something. You know what that something is?
I'm guessing
energy. Yes. Energy. And this is how the body works. This is how energy is done in the body. Magnets are ripped apart, energy is released, and that energy gets channeled into chemical reactions by the actions of minerals and other things. So the energy is released, that energy goes somewhere, and you want to go into work rather than just going into the air. The way the body evolved, it goes into work by being carried on vitamins, carried on minerals, carried on other molecules, like piggybacked. That's why their vitamins are so important. They carry things. That's what makes micronutrients so important. They carry things. They're carriers. Without them, there's nothing to carry. Except the body is much more complicated than that. So every molecule carries it a little bit differently, with just a slight change in frequency, so that it's more appropriate for the eyes or more appropriate for the pancreas. You know what I'm saying? It's much more complicated. I'm giving you a general picture. So what does this got to do with mitochondria? So what mitochondria do is they take, we'll say sugar, although there's this other molecule they can do it with too, but let's say sugar, glucose, and it feeds it into this incredible machinery that rips off the piece of energy from sugar, which is called an electron, and swings it around the mitochondria in this incredibly organized, complex quantum. And I say by that I mean tiniest of the tiniest of the tiniest. So tiny it's not even a thing anymore, it's energy. And at the end of this whole process comes out ATP. And this is how the body makes ATP, through glucose coming into mitochondria, the mitochondria doing this incredible, it's called electron transport, and it is the most mind-boggling, incredible process in the entire universe. The single most incredible process in all of biology. It's called electron transport, what the mitochondria do. And so the mitochondria then come out with ATP. So this is how it all happens. And I didn't even begin to scratch the surface of how this all occurs because it's so incredibly detailed and complex, but it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant how this all happens. And so the mitochondria obviously are important, right? That's where the energy is coming from. Now, a couple things about the mitochondria, first of all. One of the most fascinating things about the mitochondria, they're not you. They're independent of your cells. They have their own DNA. They have their own, they make their own things. They don't work with your cells. Cells are all kind of making DNA for the arms and the legs and the eyes and the nose, the heart and all the other parts of the body. The mitochondria just have their own DNA. They have their own thing because billions with a B of years ago, there were no mitochondria. There were no cells. Or I'm sorry, there were only primitive cells that didn't have mitochondria. And these primitive cells couldn't really use energy very well. They had no mitochondria. And then something happened, and nobody knows how this happened, but there was a merging of a cell, of a type of cell with another type of cell, and that merging, that other type of cell was the mitochondria. And it's thought that the mitochondria merged with these old cells, and now you have supercell. You have power cell. Before you didn't have, just immature, not immature, but undeveloped cells. Cells that didn't have a lot of working parts. They couldn't really do much. They could turn into slimes. They couldn't really grow organs and tissues and make animals. They couldn't do any of that stuff because they were just really basic, primitive organisms, entities. But when the mitochondria came in, all of a sudden, the cells could work with oxygen, because this is the magic of the mitochondria. The mitochondria have an ability to take oxygen and blend it with the electrical energy from the sugars to create ATP. It's called, they call it oxidative phosphorylation, which just means oxygen as making ATP, phosphorus, adenosine triphosphate. So this oxygen is making ATP. What the mitochondria did, because they could work with oxygen, is they allowed these primitive cells that could not work with oxygen to now have the ability to have a super engine, to have like a Lamborghini engine in an old rickety Model T. The mitochondria gave them the power to work with oxygen, to burn oxygen. How does your engine work in your car? What makes a Lamborghini not a Volkswagen? The ability to burn oxygen, right? And so oxygen's the key. So mitochondria came in, they merged. Incredibly, nobody knows how to do it. This is still a theory. Nobody really knows how this happened. But now you had super cells that could work with oxygen. They could take sugar. Hang on, just real quick. So what I want to say is that the mitochondria are really, really important. But we are all doing something today that's messing up our mitochondria. Go ahead. What were you going to ask?
Are these the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes?
Okay, I wasn't going to go there, but since you want to go there, pro means primitive.
Okay.
Karyote means cell.
Okay.
EU means good, advanced cell. Correct. The prokaryotes couldn't use oxygen. The eukaryotes could. But here's the thing. The prokaryotes act like bacteria. Bacterial cells are prokaryotes. And there's a certain cell in the body that will also act like a prokaryote when you're not healthy. It's called a cancer cell. Cancer is a mitochondrial issue. Cancer is an energy issue. It's caused by an inability to work with, to process energy correctly. And so the cell doesn't know what to do, so it reverts back to being a prokaryote. A cancer cell is functioning like a prokaryote. You follow me? And it's all because of the mitochondria. And today, mitochondrial medicine is becoming a thing. But it's really silly because anything you do for the cell is going to help the mitochondria. Oh, is this somebody saying I have to dumb that? Is that I have to dumb it down? Mitochondria energy
down to a 5th grade level.
Okay, I was hoping that it was just a black box.
It was pretty clear to me, but
I thought the black box was in.
I thought Texas Hill, he's a little challenged.
All right, I thought
he might be talking to other people. He's talking.
I thought the black box was going to be enough. But you really want to know what's in the black box? Is that what you're saying? Well, it's really freaking incredible. It's really incredible what's in the black box. I was just going to call it a black box. Sugar comes in, ATP comes out. If you really want to know electron transport, it is super cool stuff. What happens is, as the electron from the sugar is traveling through these very intricate, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very, very structured, very tightly organized folds. There's these membranes inside the mitochondria. You have a cell. Let's give a scope of things, a perspective of things. A cell is like 1/100th the size of a head of a pin, approximately. Okay, so you've got this microscopic piece, and within that microscopic piece of jelly, and it's jelly, it's not a round circle like on the blackboard in biology. It's a piece of jelly. In that little piece of invisible jelly, you have up to 1,000, maybe even 5,000 or 10,000 of these little mitochondria. That's how small these mitochondria are. Listen, did you hear what I said? You've got this tiny entity that's so microscopic, that's so tiny you can't even see it. It's microscopic. It's a blob. It's a cell. And within that blob, embedded, you have thousands of these mitochondria. Oh, what? This is staggering how this happens. And then within the mitochondria, within the mitochondria, you have this intricate architecture. that's so small, it's like quantum small. And within that micro quantum architecture, a little piece of energy, which is, you can't even measure it. It's called an electron. It goes into these little folds. And as it's going into the folds, it drops. And when energy drops, or when a substance drops, it releases energy. It goes from a high energy state to a low energy state, and something's released. When something goes from a high energy state to a low energy state, can you see how something is released? If you have $100 and you go down to $20, $80 is released.
Understood.
Right? And that released energy is captured by molecule. So I'm telling you, this is so intense. It's amazing. It's captured by things like NAD. You know about NAD? Have you heard NAD lately? And NAD is one of the things that captures that the energy that's released as the electron drops. Come on. You want more? And this happens multiple times as the electron is going through the folds. And at the end, you've got a tremendous amount of energy that reacts with oxygen to cause a molecule of phosphorus to stick to another molecule called ADP. ADP, adenosine diphosphate, becomes adenosine triphosphate by the action of all this movement and oxygen. Oxidative phosphorylation. That's what it's called. And so now you have this ATP that's got a loose stick, a loose magnetic connection, and it can be used for energy. And then it becomes ADP, and it goes back to the mitochondria, becomes ATP and ADP, and then ATP and goes recycles. Huh. Now, I wasn't going to tell you any of that, and I'm sure that's a lot more than most people want to know, but it's pretty freaking amazing how all that happens.
Okay, I got a couple questions.
And by the way, that's only the second stage. That's the second stage. There's a stage before that, which is the Krebs cycle. You probably heard of the Krebs cycle. That's before oxidative phosphorylation. That's a whole nother thing. I'm not even going to get into that.
Okay, I got a couple questions. Number one, there's thousands of mitochondria.
And then, by the way, I want to tell you what the problem is with the mitochondria today. Why mitochondrial medicine is becoming a thing. Go ahead.
There's thousands of mitochondria in a cell.
Yeah.
We got tons of cells.
Add them all up.
Billions and billions.
Add them all up. Add them all up. You know, no, you got 100 trillion. Yeah, count on your fingers, your toes. It's 100. It's 100 trillion cells.
Okay, so then
times thousands.
Thousands.
Yeah, it's sick. It's sick.
Okay.
And by the way, let me just say this, just to give you a little idea. Every little movement of electrical energy within the mitochondria is the equivalent of a bolt of lightning, because it's so tiny, and the energy release relative to the tiny size is so enormous. It's analogous in terms of its scale, if you take into account the small size, to a bolt of lightning. There's lightning bolts in your body, lightning bolts of energy going on in your body.
Okay, and then my question is, you talk about from time to time how the kidneys are redundant. You don't notice that you have a problem with your kidney until you're at like 20%.
Yeah.
So is it similar with the mitochondria?
Similar to the mitochondria, absolutely similar to the mitochondria. You have so many. It takes a while. But what do you think we're all doing that is causing all the problems? That's causing the problems. We're doing one single thing that's causing the problem.
Eating too much sugar.
Bingo. We're feeding the mitochondria so much they can't handle it. And then they don't have the nutrients, those carriers. So the mitochondria can't do what they need to do. So this idea of focusing on mitochondria, it's marketing. It's more marketing. If you focus on the cell, you're going to focus on the mitochondria. If you focus on good lifestyle habits, you're going to focus on the mechanism is the mitochondria. So yeah, the mitochondria is important, but this whole idea of, people want to work on the mitochondria and this is good for your mitochondria. It's not how it works. You want to make sure that you're handling your body the right way, and then the mitochondria will benefit from it.
Which brings
that being said, there are certain nutrients that can support mitochondrial health specifically, and that's those energy carriers, the B vitamins, niacin, riboflavin, vitamin B2, coenzyme Q10, melatonin, vitamin A, vitamin C, plant-derived minerals. These are all mitochondrial support. They're all going to support electrical charges. Melatonin is also supportive for mitochondrial health. And that's another interesting story. how melatonin works.
Okay, well, just want to circle back to the title of the show,
Yeah.
which is
Was all that too much information, by the way? That was
not at all, not for our nighttime crew.
Nighttime crew, smart. Okay, good.
Nighttime crew can handle it all.
All right, good.
But the topic of our show, religion's impact on the mitochondria, and
Okay.
that is in relation to the fact that this year, all of the major religions are fasting at the same time. We just finished Ramadan, and we're still in Lent, and everybody fasts during this period of time of the year. And some people have 25-hour fasts.
So Ramadan's the only fast I know of.
Okay, well, for Yom Kippur, you got to fast.
Oh yeah, religions fast. Religions are big on fasting. That's true.
Baha'is. So what I'm getting at is everybody's fasting. And so there must have been something known about the benefit of fasting.
Yes, it was
number
known.
one, but number two, what is the impact of fasting on the mitochondria?
You tell me. You answered your own question.
No, you're the one that's got to tell the story, man.
Well, if we're all burning out our mitochondria with electrons, with sugar, basically, and you stop flooding the mitochondria with all that sugar, the mitochondria get a break. They can calm down a little bit, and they can utilize their nutrients. Remember, there's nutrients. The essential nutrients are carriers, and they're support nutrients for the mitochondria. If you flood the body, if you make the mitochondria work because you're flooding it with energy, now you're going to be depleted. So you're going to be conserving your nutritional resources, your micronutritional resources for mitochondrial health, and the mitochondria will be healthier. They'll be able to make more energy. That's the main reason why fasting adds years to your life, is because of the mitochondria or the link. And we never really talked about it until recently. I think the word is intimidating. Mitochondria seems like an intimidating word, but that's the way everything that's good for us works because of the mitochondria. Or not everything, but a lot of things, if not most things.
Mm-hmm. And you always say, Texas Hill saying Mormons fast the first Sunday of every month.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's good. That was smart.
And you always say, the less we eat, the longer we live.
That's why. That's exactly why.
And
that's the mechanism. You now know the mechanism for the less we eat, the longer we live. You're supporting mitochondrial health by not flooding it with so much energy. Not burning out. We're burning out our mitochondria. And without mitochondria, cells can't use oxygen. And if cells can't use oxygen, guess what they become? Prokaryotes.
So
by definition.
So the root of all cancer is
mitochondrial. 100%.
Okay, so
and it's not the genetics. People, they used to tell you it's the genes, the genetics. No, it's not the genetics.
I still hear that. And I have a chiropractor friend in 914 area code. I hope you're watching, because we had a debate yesterday. But
on what?
I said, well, what do you think causes cancer? And he said, if I knew what causes cancer,
let me tell you. Hang on, let me tell you something. Nothing causes cancer. Mm-hmm. It's a silly thing to say. Mm-hmm. Nothing causes cancer. Nothing causes cancer. Cancer is cellular duress. So things cause cellular duress, which cause cancer. And there's a lot of things that cause cellular duress. Viruses can cause cellular duress. Toxicity can cause cellular duress. Hypoxia can cause cellular duress. Radiation can cause cellular duress. Sugar can cause cellular duress. There's a zillion things that can cause cellular duress. That's why you're always hearing about something new causing cancer. They're not causing cancer, they're causing cellular duress. Cancer is a sign. It's an adaptive mechanism. It's a cell. It's a coping mechanism. It's a cell that doesn't know what else to do. It's at its wit's end because it can't make energy. It doesn't know what else can it do? What do you expect? Now, fairness, the body will kill cells first. And it's only a rogue cell that escapes the body's surveillance system. The body is constantly surveilling for these cells. It's constantly looking for these dysfunctional cells. And for the most part, it does a really good job in killing them, autophagy, and getting rid of them. Or they die themselves, apoptosis. But every once in a while, a rogue escapes, and very rarely, in the scheme of things, you got 100 trillion cells. In the scheme of things, it's very rare that one escapes the surveillance system. But it only takes one. And so that's where cancer comes from. But it's not like smoking causes cancer. Smoking causes cellular duress, which causes cancer. Yes.
Okay.
Tell that to your chiropractor if that helps. Tell that to your chiropractor friend. It's very simple. If I knew what caused cancer.
Whenever I hear the word genes come up, I just know.
I know. There's certain keywords. Yeah, there's certain keywords.
Just to wrap up our little spiel on religion and the mitochondria, there's other anecdotal evidence that the relaxation response protocol is like a mantra, can affect the mitochondria. It's also talking about that prayer reduces stress and inflammation and oxidative stress, therefore supports mitochondria.
Well, let me tell you again. That's right. But prayer, say that. What did you say? Prayer does what?
The relaxation response protocol.
Right. Prayer activates the parasympathetic nervous system. That's what prayer does. And by prayer, we got to define our terms. What does prayer mean? I went to I did a talk for some Muslims during Ramadan in California.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was really interesting. And it was Ramadan, and I did the talk, and they pray these were serious Muslims. They pray 5 times a day, right? And so I was there in the evening before my talk. They were ready to pray, so they asked if I wanted to pray with them. And I went into this room and I prayed. I did Ramadan, and I always thought I never really understood the whole prayer 5 times a day thing. But let me tell you, I don't know if you've ever done this, but when you're in a room with 100, 120 guys, and they're all praying, hardcore praying, there's some serious praying energy in that room. Let me tell you, that's some powerful energy. When you have and they're praying hard. They are praying hard. They're doing some serious praying. Oh man, the prayer energy in that room. You left and you were like on another planet, practically in another dimension. And I realized why Muslims pray 5 times a day. I totally got that, because you don't need no drug, you don't need no booze. You are high as a kite when you leave that place. It was the most incredible experience, And so when you talk about prayer activating the parasympathetic nervous system, yes, even the little prayers we do, but you can really feel it when you're in a room with and church. I've been to churches that doesn't come close to what these Muslims were doing. Holy moly, they were into it. They were praying hard.
It depends. It depends on sometimes a year I can remember church having that sort of feeling.
I never had a church that had that, I'll tell you. That was some serious God praising the Lord or whatever the Lord was. I don't know. I don't really know much about Islam, but I can tell you that was a serious spiritual experience for me. So yes, prayer definitely activates. We talk about the parasympathetic nervous system as the relaxation response, but spirituality is linked to that. Spirituality, connection to God or the universe or one or whatever you want to call it, that actually activates the parasympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic nervous system actually activates that response. It's like a circle. They both feed off of each other. And so in that realm, that neurological realm of parasympathetic domination, it's not only you're always sympathetic, parasympathetic, but you're dominating. You want to be parasympathetic dominant. When you're parasympathetic dominant, you get spiritual, you get gratitude, you feel good about life, you have great optimism, you're cheerful. All of those things are regulated by the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system domination, if you will, that activates the fear response, anxiety, depression, sadness, aggression, all the things the emotional things that are ruining our world and that we hate in our lives are all regulated by this sympathetic nervous system. And in a way, there's a very important analogy that can be made between false evidence appearing real. You've heard that.
Yep.
And love, fear and love. And we know false evidence appearing real is the lie. And who's the father of lies? And who's love? What you have is a very powerful Christian message here. You have love and fear. You have Satan, the father of lies, and you have Christ, the Christ force. It's a very important message there. I believe Jesus was telling. And when Jesus said, by the way, or when the Bible says, I don't know if Jesus said this, but in the Bible it says, you have to be saved. What it really means is you have to be safe. You have to be parasympathetic. In a way, it's like a biology lesson, a neurobiology lesson is what they're saying. And so you can step it down. The metaphor can go down from spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. It's as above, so below. It's the same idea. You can be parasympathetic neurologically, or you can be in love spiritually, or you can be in forgiveness mentally, or you can be in joy or rapture emotionally. There's analogies all the way through, right? That's why gratitude is so important, and spirit and godliness is so important, and kindness and loving your fellow man. They activate the parasympathetic nervous system. They tell you you're safe. That's why they give you a support dog when you come home from Iraq, or if you have anxiety, because what you're doing is you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system by loving something that's not you, with no benefit. When we love a dog or a cat, we don't get any. It's not like the dog's going to, is going to leave us in his will. The dog's not. There's nothing the dog's going to do for you. You're just giving love, and that giving of love unconditionally activates the parasympathetic nervous system.
That dog's giving some love back too.
Yeah, that's true. You're getting love back, but it's not like you're going to have a monetary value out for it. It's like you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. That what you're saying, getting love back, is parasympathetic activation.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: you can activate the parasympathetic nervous system right now. The fastest way is breathing, but you got to do it correctly. If you do it incorrectly, you'll actually activate the stress nervous system. And I do a fast breathing exercise every morning to activate my sympathetic nervous system. Another way is just thinking about God, thinking about godliness. Do you know there's people who are mad at God? I have friends who are mad at God. That is a very bad strategy. That is not a good. You want to rethink that if you're mad at God. You might want to reconsider. But I really got friends who are mad at God. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah, I don't know. Health preachers having a little problem. Just love everybody, health preacher. You can do good without
love all, serve all,
putting down others. All right, I got a question here from Mary. It says, my essential tremor is getting worse.
Mary,
what is causing this tremor other than
Mary
anxiety?
How old is Mary?
I don't have Mary's age.
All right, so essential, what does essential mean? Like essential hypertension?
Essential means they don't know the source?
That's basically just it's part of you. There's nothing. It's part of you. It's essential to your nature. Well, here's the deal. First of all, I work with Parkinson's patients all the time with tremendous success. Not because of me, but because it's just common sense. And Parkinson's is kind of similar. It could be Parkinson's for that matter. But tremors are several things. First of all, very few people have tremors in the bathtub. Why do you think?
Because you activated your.
You relaxed everything.
Yeah.
Tremors are a hypercontraction. They're when you can't stop contracting. That's what a tremor really is. Usually, when we have our hand out, there's a balance between activation and contraction and relaxation, right? It's balanced. Okay, there's some contraction happening, but there's also relaxation happening, right? When your hand out. However, if you contract it without relaxation, it shakes.
By the way,
yes.
I noticed before I started using longevity.
Yeah, you had contraction.
My hand would shake.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk about that. So contraction is part of it's related to the stress response. So I don't want to say it's caused by the stress response, but it's related to it, the contraction. The body is constantly in a balance of relaxation and contraction. You have hundreds of muscles, right? All over the body, head to toe, 600, 660, I don't know, some large number of muscles in that area. And they're all in a balance of contraction and relaxation. If they're over contracting, that's not good. And if they're over relaxing, that's not good, right? What happens if you're over relaxed, right?
Yeah.
You can't move.
Yeah.
What happens if you're over contracted? Think, hold your hand out in front of you and squeeze really tight and you feel it contracting. It's an over contraction. And that's why in the bathtub, it's not going to happen. The bathtub, you're automatically relaxed. That's first of all. Now you can't spend your life in the bathtub. So you got to figure out what's causing that contraction. So first of all, there's going to be mental and emotional, like she just pointed out, issues for that contraction, for hypercontraction. So you got to work on those levels. Then there's the relaxation response, like in the bathtub. You can't be in the bathtub, but you can breathe. You can hold your muscles. You can hold your body a certain way. You can think certain things and have a certain emotions that will have an effect on the body too, and spirituality, for what we said, as we said earlier. But another thing that can cause contractions is pure biochemistry. Not pure biochemistry, but the interactions of the internal biochemistry to the external biochemistry. That is food and nutrition. Mm-hmm. So sugar will amp up the contraction response. Sugar turns on the sympathetic nervous system. It'll activate this tremor response. Or sugar in conjunction with nutritional deficiencies, where your body can't handle the sugar. So going ketogenic and using nutrients that support mitochondrial health, sugar burning, the B vitamins, incredibly important for the nervous system, especially thiamine, vitamin B1. I imagine Mary's taking BTT. Take more.
I imagine she's not.
Well, then she should be. Mm-hmm. Okay? So the B vitamins, electrolytes, essential fatty acids, coenzyme Q10. What are some other good ones here that I'm thinking of? Magnesium, even potassium.
Interesting that you're saying all of the ones that you mentioned earlier for mitochondria.
So it's mitochondrial. Exactly. It's an energy issue. Everything that helps the body, or that helps a cell, or everything that helps the body helps a cell, and everything that helps a cell helps the mitochondria. Everything that helps the cell helps the mitochondria. Even if there's things that aren't exactly directed on the mitochondria, they're going to help the genetics, which will help the mitochondria. Mm-hmm. So everything at the end somehow involves the mitochondria, because that's energy. Look, the very essence of the body and of life and of the cells is energy. Energy, 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 energy. It's all energy. That means all disease is energy. That means all health is energy. That means all happiness is energy. That means all sadness is energy. It's all energy. And so obviously, the structures that are responsible for the production of energy, it's chemical energy in the body, are going to play a role in everything, because everything's energy. There's nothing that does not involve energy. Nothing. Name me something in biology that doesn't involve energy.
A process?
Name me anything in biology that somehow does not involve energy. You can't. It's all energy. In fact, in a way, the body and everything in reality is just different forms of energy, just different frequencies, just different combinations of energy. Tesla said that. He said, if you want to know the universe, think in terms of rhythm, or what do you say? Rhythm, frequency, and energy. Mm-hmm. I think it was frequency and energy. I forgot what the third one was. It might have been rhythm, frequency, and energy. It's all energy. And frequency is energy too.
So, Trey Interessant.
Just we're getting really wonky here.
No, I don't think so. And I wish we had some folks who had some health questions. The only question I do have was from Hophead, kind of giving you a compliment, and this is, and you're going to kind of reveal a secret here.
Yeah.
For the question, he says, You have to tell us where to get that shirt. Nutrients are what drugs wish they could be.
Oh, I had nothing to do with that. I just said it once. I used to say it a lot, and somebody just made a shirt out of it. Nutrients are what drugs dream they could be.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and Lenny's asking, what do you think PQQ is?
It's part of that whole, P2Q is part of that whole, all those nutrients that we're talking about that are involved in how the electron gets turned into energy inside the folds of the mitochondria.
What is PQ? What is P?
It's you know what it stands for? I forgot what it stands for. It's a quinone of some kind. And these quinones, like ubiquinone, it's coenzyme Q10.
Quinone.
Yeah, pyrroloquinone. It's a quinone, and quinones have a very interesting ability to carry energy. Remember, I talked about how things carry the energy, like the energy is released as the electron drops, and then there's different molecules that carry the energy. The quinones are very functional in that regard. They have an ability to hold on and release energy very flexibly. And so quinones are very valuable in this whole mitochondrial electron transport scale. So now biohackers have gotten into this PQQ to support mitochondria. Although, by the way, methylene blue, you've heard of methylene blue, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Methylene blue works at the mitochondrial level. And so the mitochondria have been the target of a lot of kind of, this medicalization of nutrition. I call it medicalization of nutrition, where you treat the biochemistry of the body medically by hacking rather than, it's a different philosophy. The philosophy of the biohackers is, there's a biohacking community. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
The philosophy of the biohackers is sort of medical in the sense that they're targeting specific things. What I'm talking about is supporting it. Let the body do everything it needs to do. Just give it the raw materials. We're going to target the mitochondria. That's not how I like to look at it.
How about we support the mitochondria by keeping the environment clean and oxygenated?
Yes. It's a philosophical way of looking at it.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. Don't think you're gonna escape us, because
no.
I do.
I think people are getting the hang, because I repeat myself over and over again. So they're just sick hearing me say, do a food diary and take the I-26. You think? I imagine people don't want to hear me say it anymore, because that's all I say ever.
I don't know that people are sick of that. Linda Allen had asked. She's a distributor. She has a client that was exposed to spike proteins, having heart palpitation as a result. They think that's the result of the spike protein and inability to sleep. How do we rid our bodies of spike protein? It sounds like
there's a few different things you could try. Ultimate enzymes, probiotics, nightly essence, plant-derived minerals, supporting blood health, chelating agents, vitamin C. The most important thing is supporting overall health, because if you're dysglycemic or hypoxic or toxic, or you have dysbiosis, that is, if you have messed up gut bacteria, if you have leaky gut, all of these are going to contribute to the load of the body. And I think it's more helpful to look at things like, instead of specific things like what causes cancer or spike protein, let's look at the overall stress on the body, duress on the body, and try to support the body's overall health. There's certain things, obviously, that are extremely problematic, like the spike protein. But if you got injected with the darn spike protein, then it's in your blood. So work on what you can do to keep the blood clean in other ways. And there are chelating agents that can help with the spike protein.
Our girl Barbara says, we're not sick of anything you say. Repetition is how we learn, and we love you.
Oh, I love you too. Thank you so much, Barbara Deshant.
Oh, you know Barbara. Okay, yes. Okay, so now Health Preacher has been in the chat having a little hard time, but we know Health Preacher is a great guy.
I don't know any. You know all these people?
Well, they've been around. Yeah, a lot of
you just know by name, or you actually have seen them?
I know Barbara. I know Barbara because we're in a Zoom together a couple
Barbara
times.
Deshant. Is she on Saturday on our Friday Zooms?
Always.
You guys say hi, Barbara, next time.
Okay, and but health preacher, he lost his friend prematurely to a heart attack, and he believes it's brought on by the vegan diet from his friend's religion.
I can't say, I don't know what brought on his heart. I can't say what brought on his heart attack, but the vegan diet is got problems for sure. Lectins, there's no meat lectins. There's no carnivore lectins, but there are definitely plant lectins.
Uh, okay, so now Donna, I'm shocked at you, Donna. I'm shocked at you, Donna.
Why?
This is Donna's question. Why is ZRadical with collagen using maltodextrin?
Ooh, the maltodextrin question.
I am so shocked at you, Donna. You know that we have forums for this, but do you want to take a stab at this? What do you
Yeah,
think?
look, maltodextrin is not the greatest substance in the world, but the amount of maltodextrin you're getting in your ZRadical collagen is, you got way bigger fish to fry than the speck of maltodextrin that's in a dose of ZRadical. It's not a great substance, maltodextrin, that's for sure. But you got bigger fish to fry than to worry about your maltodextrin, a speck of it.
Keeley says Dr. Wallach always stated there are no second generation vegetarians.
Doc didn't pull any punches.
Doc grew up on a farm. I mean, I gotta say I am a little torn because I look at these vegan people on Facebook in particular, and they make the most amazing looking salads.
Oh, have you seen? I've been seeing a lot of like two ingredient, 3 ingredient stuff. Have you seen these?
Yeah, and they got so make a cake.
They always have yogurt and like protein powder or something.
I don't see those, but I see like they'll use a sweet potato and something else, and and it's like poof, you got like this amazing looking thing. Or there's one guy, he takes he'll take like a cauliflower and season it up, and it tastes just like steak.
Oh yeah, it tastes just like steak, right? But I don't know. Do you know this Donna who asked about the maltodextrin? We hear about maltodextrin. You hear about that, and it'll raise your blood sugar if you eat a lot of maltodextrin. It definitely has a high glycemic index, but the amount that you're getting is a speck. It's hardly anything. It can cause some GI problems if you do a lot of it, that kind of thing. But it's not. I wouldn't worry about it in the capsule.
It's in the
Beyond Tangy. I think it's a Beyond Tangy Tangerine too.
No? It's in one of the BTTs.
But it's mostly, its role is to act as a flowing agent. It acts to support the flow of powders when they put them in capsules, and also in BTT when you're mixing it. It helps it mix and gives it a certain body to it. It's not a great ingredient, but it's not like it's the end of the world. It's not going to kill you. It's not a toxin or poison. It's more like it can have some effects on your microbiome, dysbiosis kind of things. If you have gluten issues, it might cause a problem, rarely. And then it does spike your blood sugar, but not the amount you're doing.
And then, so we got 3 questions here.
Yeah.
Of course, they're gonna wait till it's time for you to go.
Wait till I gotta go, you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Best thing for kidney malfunction.
The kidney malfunction needs to be treated like a blood sugar issue. Always. Think of what the kidneys do. They're filtering the blood. You can also, toxins will also do it, in fairness. If you like lead poisoning and that kind of thing, that can also cause blood toxicity that can damage the kidneys. But for most people, it's sugar. Treat yourself like a diabetic. Becca has a really good protocol for people on dialysis. And when she says kidney malfunction, I assume that person means kidney disease.
Yeah. And so that would be.
Let's take these questions. Let's take them on Friday when I can really dive in.
That would be blood sugar pack and
healthy blood sugar pack. Stage 4 liver disease, same idea. Metabolic syndrome, liver issues, cirrhosis, toxins. Look what the livers do. They process sugar, among other things. They process toxins and sugar and aminos and fats. And the liver is so incredible. I mean, I keep saying that because every part of the body is incredible, but the liver is just beyond the beyond. They used to think the liver was the main organ of the Greeks. Thought that the liver was the main organ of the body. Statin deficiency, niacin, but treat yourself like a diabetic is the most important thing. I'm sorry, not in place of a statin, not a statin deficiency.
Well, the ultimate niacin.
Oh, who said that? Who's the nurse who asked the question?
Well, Donna, that's Donna. She's saying that wasn't really her question with the
it came from a nurse.
That's something that the nurse is saying to her as her combat. Oh, you got maltodextrin in your product.
Oh, the maltodextrin question? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, you got way bigger fish to fry than maltodextrin. All right.
All right, Pharmacist Ben.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. See you Friday.
See you Friday. I'll save these questions for you. And you were lucky you got away. I didn't poison your ears with my Donna Summers rendition.
No, Donna's no. Root not fruit, did you? Was it really bad? Did it
see you Friday. We'll see you Friday.
Do Beethoven. Next time do Beethoven.
Beethoven. Yeah. Have a good one. Thank you.
All right, later.